Was good. Was good. Was good. All right, so you feel me? We watched episode one last night. Solid episode. Very solid episode. Um, I just want to go through a couple positives and negatives that I wrote down actually. Or maybe it's not even here. Maybe it's on my. It might be on my computer. I think I remember them though. All right, so one first thing, just out the gate. You feel me? Abby, amazing. You feel me? Abby's amazing. Uh, I like the vibe that she brings. I like just it feels like Abby live action for sure. And then the whole thing that's like kind of throws me off though is like at the beginning it's like it takes away the twist. Like the twist that they have later on in the story. Everybody knows, pretty much what I'm talking about, but like because they introduce her and introduce like the motives and everything that she has going on, like literally they're literally at the graveyard. You feel me? So there's no like wondering who this is. Like when they do the horde scene and whatnot, like when that whole thing happens, you're gonna be like, okay, as a viewer, I already understand what she's trying to do. I mean, she can call it like mask it. A lot of them act like she's just some random straggler or whatnot and pull it and spring it on them, but it's only going to be spraying on the characters in the show. It's not going to be spraying on the audience. So I feel like that happening was what threw everybody off. You know, that that element of surprise, like slapping people in the face with that twist, was basically what drew in a lot of people. Honestly, obviously, turned a lot of people off. People started complaining and stuff, but like for the most part, that was the big shebang. You feel me? So like, it's for them to completely eliminate that factor is super interesting. You got to look at like Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann and hope and understand that like they know what they're doing. And just put trust. So it's like, all right, cool. I'll see how it plays out. I'm not saying that it's going to be terrible, but yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they maneuver it. Um, Ellie, Ellie, or Bella as Ellie. I'm gonna say I'm not like a lot of people want to make the entire thing about that, like her performance and whatnot, as like the whole big deal as far as her being able to pull it off if she has like the right aggression and the chops basically to make it believable that she's this character that's aged over time. And I understand. I don't want to make it like the whole you know talking point or just the whole thing of what I'm when I'm watching it. But I can't lie, like there was a lot of times where like she'll be saying something and it's like these responses that she's getting from the other characters and stuff is like it's like they're talking to a child. You feel me? It's like they're talking to like someone who's kind of like not necessarily already aged up or like it's an equal. They're talking to her like, oh come on Ellie, like you feel me? Like it's a 7-year old. She's like even the parts where she's like, oh well, you're not gonna win in this argument with me, blah blah, and then like she turns around and starts screaming to the rooftop and stuff. Like, not to say that Ellie in the game wasn't, you know, uh, like she had a couple jokes here and there. Like obviously there's a sense of humor, but it wasn't to the extent of like outlandishly silliness. You feel me? Like, and at the same time, she's she's like sad about Joel and whatnot, and then has like this weight on her about like this lie that she feels like she knows Joel's telling, and it's pretty serious. But then she'll turn around and then have the. I don't think Ellie in the game had those moments where it was like insane silliness, like screaming and dancing and doing all that like that weight of the situation that she had with Joel was like weighing on her through the whole time. Now, obviously, this is a show, so it's different. You're gonna see more personal moments, but like, there's just a level of like this childlike energy that I feel like is gonna make it a little difficult to see her as like this super aggressive, rage filled, revenge filled person, you know. But I feel like I still am able to watch it without letting that bother me too much. I know there's gonna be a lot of people that can't. This is all they're gonna talk about. But yeah, I was able to look past it. Dina, fire, really super surprised. Shout out to Shorty from she in like Dora the Explorer or some shit. uh, fire. She's like the sense of humor is there, the timing, comedic timing is there, like all of it, all of it is there pretty much, and the connection that she has with Joel that we didn't see in the game is crazy. Like just getting those moments of conversation, like she was kind of teasing him for like going to therapy and shit like that. Like those are funny little moments that you obviously didn't get the game, but they're so like Craig Mazin in the team, Neil Drummond, they have a great way of adding, scenes that weren't there that just make you feel so you believe that that could have happened or that that actually did happen. Like it almost makes you feel like, damn, was there like some scenes that I missed or something like? Because this really does feel like a part of it. And but they're retroactively going back and adding these things. In a lot of cases, a lot of people try to do that with properties, and it doesn't work out like well at all. So, um, yeah, the fact that they're doing that with her and him is fire. The whole therapy scene, we're getting more stuff into like Eugene. He's talking to Eugene's wife. Eugene's wife has to like figure out how to deal with the fact that she's the therapist of the dude that killed her husband. I'm pretty sure, like, I guess he might have turned or something. That's what I'm thinking. It's happened to him. We didn't get that explanation, I don't think, in the game. So yeah, I think he just turned, and then Joel had to be the one to put him out of his misery or something like that. What else is going on? Ooh, my God, the gameplay elements that get introduced, like just as far as like the bottle, and then like they're stopping, and then Medina's like shh, and they do like the listening. It's basically supposed to be like listening mode. Like they went from shh, they knew one was there, shh, boom. Now they know there's two. Obviously, you can't like see them with the white outline and whatnot, but like that's basically what that's trying to replicate, and it was fire. You feel me? The sneaking up, uh, the attacks, like all that shit was gas. Uh, Jesse's cool. I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anything out. I don't know, but like, let's just get to this. You feel me? We talk about some stuff as we go, as we remember.
Welcome back to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the first episode of Season 2 of The Last of Us. And before we get started, don't forget to check out our Last of Us parody merch at our merch store. We have The Outbreak Day and Fireflies Look for the Light. Or you can become a member of the Alpine Clicker Patrol. Links for all of these are below, and now you can become a store member to earn rewards and get free stuff. So, what's wild about this episode is that while it technically takes place one day before the events of The Last of Us Part 2, most of these scenes are, in fact, from the game. We just see them in flashbacks much further into the game. We start off right where we left off at the end of Season 1, with Ellie confronting Joel about the truth behind what happened to the Fireflies, and he is standing firm in his lie. And then we move on to a scene that is new to this series. The remaining Firefly...
So it wasn't like, I mean, I guess it was kind of obvious, but it wasn't like, this is, obviously this is Owen. I know that's, fucking Nora. And then this is... what's her name? Owen and Mel, and then this is damn, I forgot his name. That's Abby's homie. Forgot his name. I don't want to say something racist either.
As we're burying the dead that Joel left behind in a mass grave. The first thing.
But I think I seen somebody complaining saying that like, shout out to the giraffe, man. I think I've seen somebody complaining saying that like, dang, like Abby's like friends, like her crew, they didn't really feel anything because they were just kind of standing there and this is that, and it's like I feel like that was completely intentional. Like, why would they show all of them, all of their separate personalities and what they do like that early in? Like, I don't even think they're really trying to show too much of Abby in general. They just felt like they kind of had to, So, but obviously, Owen was probably the one that talked the most, but you know why. You understand that.
thing we focus on are the giraffes, the same ones that Joel and Ellie saw right before everything went south. Now, in this scene, the symbolism is flipped for Abby as she watches them eating leaves next to her father's fresh grave. So for Ellie and Joel, these giraffes were a symbol of peace and hope, despite the endless tragedies of the apocalypse. But for Abby, they will forever serve as a reminder of her greatest loss. We can see the Firefly dog tags hanging on the crosses while the team discusses their next move. At one point, Abby mentions something about Ellie's immunity, and Nora responds with,
"Something not true, because it isn't
possible."
That's interesting. Like, Ellie's like a real deal rock star out here. Like, everybody
this
knows
implies
that.
There wasn't even a consensus among the Fireflies on whether or not her immunity was real. And then Owen suggests heading to Seattle to meet someone named Isaac, referring to Isaac Dixon, the leader of the Washington Liberation Front. This sounds important. Well, yeah, the WLF, or Wolves, as they call themselves, is a paramilitary group that successfully overthrew Fedra and now uses its military assets to control its territory. They're the ones who take in the Salt Lake crew and supply them for a run at Joel, which is precisely the move that we see Owen convince Abby and her crew to make here. Then she suggests that,
"When we kill him, we kill him slowly."
and this line is in here to vilify the character who's
good. Like, she's good. She's good. Like, there was not a single moment when I was watching her last night that I was like, this doesn't really feel like Abby. This feels like Abby. Obviously, you know, we're lacking, you know, super brawliness and whatnot, but like she's great as Abby, bro. And that's just the one scene. You feel me? That's just the one scene. Like, imagine when we start getting to like them real moments.
kind of right, but they don't want her to sound too right because she's the villain.
Right, what do you mean? Doesn't she want to kill Joel?
Well, look, this is pretty controversial in The Last of Us fandom, but I think she's pretty justified here, Doug. I mean, look at the field of bodies Joel left behind. Not only did he take out humanity's best shot at a cure, but he's essentially taken out the Fireflies entirely. He eradicated some of the best doctors in the world, people who could have saved countless lives. If there were a trolley dilemma situation here, undoubtedly Joel should be the one to go for the sake of everyone else. Abby's revenge may be motivated by the loss of her father, but in doing so, she's more than justified in her actions. If anything, this episode shows how much of a villain Joel really is, and how his whole good guy narrative is just something he's convinced himself that he is. But this scene in particular shows that he is very much not the hero that he thinks that he is. Now, after that, we move into the intro, which is the same as Season 1, with some minor hue shifts. Many of the warmer colors we saw in the first season intro are replaced with the cooler, less saturated colors, likely due to this season primarily taking place in the cold, frozen winter. Or, at least that's what I'm told by Doug, since I am colorblind.
Person, you know that I'm colorblind.
So you'll notice, everyone in Jackson has a job and a role to fulfill in their community. Now, unfortunately, careers don't work like that in the real world. Most of us are more like Ellie. We're unsatisfied in our jobs and we're looking for change. Like, for instance,
my job's got me so stressed out. Nothing is ever good enough, and when you succeed, they just give you more to do. And now they're laying people off, and I just know AI is coming. Everybody,
whoa, hold on, just breathe.
But I don't have lungs.
Listen, man, we can relate to everything you just said. We have all felt undervalued at work, and I definitely struggle with my own work-life balance.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't left a store in 5 years.
Yeah, and that fear of getting laid off is real, man. So, if you want some life flexibility and financial independence, try Triple 10, the sponsor of this video.
Triple
10
is
the way
the rigmarole
education. They're great for everyone who wants to change something in their career. The lessons are flexible, and they are tailored to people like you who have busy schedules. Twice. Now, this seems to have the same narrative whiplash that we saw in the first scene, where the insinuated good guy is anything but. Here, we meet Jesse, Ellie's close friend and Dina's ex-boyfriend. When Jesse tells her that he asked her partner to pull his punches, it infuriates Ellie, especially after he mentions how he...
I want to explain that to Joel.
All right, I don't understand. Why is she so mad? Does she want someone to hit her in the face?
Well, it's a legitimate frustration. She's tired of people lying to her and underestimating her. And this small act...
See, like, I don't want to do this. But, like, bro, in this scene where she was like, don't do that again. Or don't pull your punches or something like that, she walked away. And she kind of, like, trotted out. I was like, I don't know. That didn't feel like Ellie, like, I need to get grizzled. You feel me? Like, I need to really lock in. I need to take out whoever, so y'all can't be, like, playing around. Like, let's get to it for real. Like, I didn't get that energy. It was just kind of like, hey, I want to play with the big boys. Like, that was kind of like the vibe that I get. Like, I don't know. Personally. Just me. Personally. You may not feel that way. That's just how I feel.
Triggered both of those soft spots. And then we move to a beautiful panning shot of Jackson, Wyoming, where the construction crew is excavating old pipes in hope of repairing them. However, they turn out to be full of roots, leading Dina to consult with Joel about their next move, since he's apparently now the head of construction in Jackson. As Dina pretends to care about his repair project, he explains why circuits have breakers, saying,
Otherwise, the wires get hotter and hotter. Lights the inside of your walls on fire.
I'm so invincible. Don't gotta go invisible.
I got that.
There goes your house.
which could be some elusive foreshadowing given the situation going on with the pipes. If the roots in those
Yeah.
pipes catch a spark from one of the fireworks we see dropped beside them later in the episode, the whole town could catch fire like a house with an overloaded circuit. When Joel finally does open up, we start to see what kind of person he really is.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the whole. I guess it's gonna show. He's gonna talk about it, and the whole thing with like the tendrils, like in the pipes, and like is that gonna trigger? Like, he'll talk about it. I'm pretty sure.
Only does he tell Dina to lie about him to therapy, but he also says, which is so ballsy given the fact that he knows exactly what he did. Then we move to a scene with Ellie and Tommy, who are getting in some practice shot sniping on the infected with a sniper rifle. Now, in game, this was used as a tutorial to show players how the bullet drop works on a sniper rifle, forcing
Right.
you to aim above the targets to hit it,
Yeah.
usually due to gravity's pull on the bullet.
Which
over
we didn't
long
really
distances.
use the
This
sniper.
scene
Well,
is
I mean,
no
I didn't.
snowier than
I
it
didn't
was
really
in the
use
game,
the
but it
sniper
shares
like
some
that.
similarities, such as the gondolas in the background. Tommy and Ellie discuss Joel's concerns about Ellie's patrols, which triggers her once again, as it seems to be yet another choice that Joel has made for her. She retaliates by screaming,
I got bit!
Hey, hey, hey!
I'm immune!
Whoa, whoa!
doesn't she run?
Like that. That is completely Bella. You understand? Like, that's Bella. That's good for Bella. That's what she. I feel like that's how she is on a regular day basis, and that's how she was allowed to be in season 1. I don't know that that's Ellie in season 2. You know, like, it's just weird. Like, it's given super like I didn't mature vibes. You know, like I'm still the same person that I was in 6th grade. It's just
Worried someone's gonna hear her? I mean, not really. From her perspective, Joel's story about why they left the Fireflies makes no sense.
and I don't want to see like I'm hating because like she's a great actor, bro. Like I said, everything that she did for season 1, fire, yes, no complaints. Hit on all cylinders. You feel me? People have their skepticisms about it, and in my opinion, she did right by it. But I'm just saying, like, for this, it's very different. We can act like it's not different, but it's different. It's supposed to be very different feel.
Now, Tommy, Joe, and Ellie made a pact to keep her immunity a secret, but she doesn't understand why at this point, especially given that her infection has healed and she is not rocking any clicker bites. Now, if she were to believe Joel's story, there still wouldn't be a reason for her to hide her immunity, but as we see later, it's especially clear that Joel wants it kept completely under wraps so as not to put a target on her back once again.
Because people might want to make another cure? I mean, isn't that selfish?
I mean, absolutely, but given that the only doctors who could make a cure are dead, it doesn't really matter anyways. Joel doesn't want the heat because he doesn't want to lose a daughter again, and while well-intentioned, he ultimately makes some very selfish decisions. After that, we move into a scene with Joel and Maria, Tommy's wife, and their kiddo, Benji. Now, while discussing their construction needs, Joel says,
So we got this guy called the Constructo Reader. The more you turn it, the faster we go.
which is actually a reference to an Easter egg in the game Hidden Secret Vault that can only be accessed by this character, that's your mom. So when Maria stresses the need to
What?
expand the settlement faster, Joel also says,
In your council, stop letting so many of them in.
Yeah, I mean, why is he saying Jackson first? Wasn't he a refugee?
yeah, exactly, and Maria reminds him of that this is another example of who Joel has become after Utah. He is straight up xenophobic at this point. He doesn't want others to have the same peace that he has found, and that makes sense given what he did. If you're going to sacrifice humanity's only hope for a cure just because you don't want to lose another daughter, then you're certainly more focused on your own happiness than the happiness of others.
Mm.
It's also interesting to hear Tommy lied to Joel about bringing Ellie along to snipe infected.
John Rose! What's up?
Hey, that's right. What will happen so everything you like? Huh? On everything you say. Comprende? On part of who? What?
Cash back like a pro with Chase Freedom Unlimited. How do you cash back?
Damn, you guys is kicking.
Eve
Oh, Eve.
Online is a vast
Shout out Eve.
Hunting or defecting? What, by yourself?
In the game, Tommy immediately takes Ellie to see Joel, and he is completely open about letting Ellie use his gun. So HBO may be taking a slightly different angle with their relationship, where Tommy doesn't trust Joel as much.
Yeah, but this is his brother. Why wouldn't you trust him?
Well, maybe what Joel did to the Fireflies didn't go over well with Tommy, or better yet, what he had to do to cover it up, which is something that we see touched on in the next scene. And then Joel has his therapy session with Gail Linden, played by the great Catherine O'Hara. Now, when he hands her the payment, she mentions that her husband used to grow.
What's the sense of plan?
Yo,
Yes, blue.
Now,
that
the
was
game
funny.
makes a big point about characters cooking with the devil's lettuce on more than one occasion. But this is actually more than just a clever joke they throw in for the gamers to giggle at. While Jackson may struggle with the lack of caulk in town,
That's what she said.
the community is otherwise thriving. They have more than what they need to survive. They may not recognize it, but they live in abundance. They have the resources, time, energy, and supplies to grow recreational weed, which shows that they have become comfortable enough to let their guard down. Honestly, Catherine O'Hara deserves an Emmy just for this scene. She calls out Joel for holding back, and in her rant, she confesses how much she hates Joel for killing her husband Eugene.
He killed Eugene Levy?
No, this isn't from Schitt's Creek, although it would be hilarious casting if Eugene Levy showed up in a flashback. The Eugene she's mentioning here is Eugene Linden, someone we hear mentioned in the games but never actually meet. Now, we know from the games that he is a grower after Dina and Ellie stumble into his dispensary, which is why his Gale was so disappointed in Joel's bag of shake. He was also the Joel to Dina's Ellie. He helped mentor her when he worked with the Fireflies, and Dina really looked up to him. From everything we know of in-game, he was a genuinely loving guy with a family, which makes the fact that Joel executed him even darker. Now, in the game, Ellie and Dina actually have a dialogue where they mention that he died at the age of 73, one of the few people to actually die of old age in this post-apocalyptic hell. But clearly, HBO is adding to his story. Eugene was a member of the Fireflies, so it makes sense that Joel would have killed him to tie up any loose ends from Salt Lake City. However, given that he's still hiding information from Gale about what happened in Utah, he's probably lying to both her and everyone else about
Damn.
his real fate.
Honestly, when he said that, when she said that she knew that Joel killed him, I thought that it was just on some like he got infected. You know, he turned Joel's the main one there. He had to do it, but like she still kind of resented him for it, like that kind of thing. If it's really if it's like he was a part of the Fireflies and he wasn't down with what Joel was doing with the whole thing, and he had confronted Joel about him and Joel killed him, that is making Joel like 10 times worse of a character. If that's ultimately what they decide to do, like if Joel was just like, nah, shh, and he didn't want to, and he had to handle that. That's making Joel a little bit grimy. You feel me? So it's gonna be interesting to see if they really go through with that. That would be nuts.
Gail tells Joel that she's drinking because it's her birthday, but later we find out that this is the real reason. Yet another moment that gives us this emotional whiplash of expectations. She then gives Joel the chance to say the thing he's afraid to say, and after some lip quivering, he finally manages to push out,
I saved her.
Well, if you saved her, then why's he gotta feel so darn guilty about it?
well, that's the thing, Doug. Joel understands the gravity of what he's done, but he chooses to create his own story, where he is the hero. Now, when you look objectively at the facts, you can see that's not the case, and deep down, Joel knows that. Since he can't talk
Yeah,
about
kill
it,
Marlene. God
needed
damn.
So,
No,
instead
Joel.
of accepting what he did,
Hey.
he is simply creating his own narrative. Next, we move to Ellie's garage hideout. In her room, we see several posters also found in her room in-game, including a picture of an astronaut and this fan poster for Thoughts 20, which seems to be a play on 21 Pilots. And the astronaut poster is a callback to Ellie's dream job, being an astronaut. Now, we got a glimpse of that when she sat in a truck for the first time in Season 1,
It's your first time in the car.
It's like a spaceship.
but also in the flashback scene from the game where she and Joel visit a space capsule in a museum. There's also a poster for Savage Starlight, Ellie's favorite comic book series that serves as collectibles in-game. Now, Ellie is in her room listening to the Nirvana cover of the song Love Buzz. It's a fitting soundtrack for the scene, as the lyrics perfectly describe Ellie's feelings for Dina. In her cassette box, Ellie has John Denver's greatest hits, Bryan Adams' Into the Fire, and songs by Marie Lynn Hammond. Now, all of these cassettes deeply relate to Ellie's inner turmoil. Adams' title track, Into the Fire, is is about someone at a crossroads in life, just like Ellie. And Denver's most known song, Take Me Home Country Roads, is about nostalgia for one's home, or in Ellie's case, a desire to be led to a metaphorical home, to the place where she belongs. In Hammond's song, Down on the Station, she describes growing up on a military base and feeling trapped, similar to Ellie's situation in Wyoming. She also has several vinyls scattered around the room, like the White Stripes self-titled album, Nirvana's In Utero, and Pearl Jam's 10. Now, this isn't the first Pearl Jam reference in the show either, as their song, All or None, was used to open episode 7 last season.
It's a hopeless situation.
Ellie
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major update.
Ellie also has musical posters as well. Is This It by The Strokes, Nirvana's Zero Tolerance Tour, and Radiohead's OK Computer. Pearl Jam and Nirvana fall into the late 80s, early 90s grunge scene, which originated in Seattle, the prominent location for The Last of Us 2. The movement expressed frustration with leadership, feelings of depression, alienation, and despair, setting the tone for this season. Ellie and Joel working at workbenches is also a callback to the games, where you often find workbenches to upgrade or mod your gear. Now, after a few moments of Dina obviously flirting with Ellie and her clearly not taking the hint, they head out to meet up with the rest. And Jesse covers the basics for the Alpine Run Patrol. He also jokes about Ellie and Dina showing up looking like Curtis and Viper, a fictional 80s movie series that is Joel's favorite.
The more the merrier. Look, Joel. What's your favorite?
It made a cameo and an Easter egg in the first season. Ellie's horse is named Shimmer, just like it is in the games. Now, as they go on patrol, Dina continues to flirt with Ellie, even asking her out to the dance herself, until they reach a blood trail that leads them to a bear carcass. Now, Dina makes a bad joke about the bear that we see Ellie write about in her journal later, followed by "Don't f*** it up," written 3 times, because this was the exact moment that Ellie, who loves puns, fell in love with Dina.
Barbecue.
This invites Dina and Ellie to investigate, and the scene plays out like a typical clicker encounter in-game. We can see how excited they are about engaging with the infected. It's fun for them, much like the excitement of those playing the game, despite the brutal situations the character is in. Before engaging the clicker, Ellie grabs a bottle, which is a common tactic in-game used to stun clickers before attacking them, or to create a distraction so you can reposition yourself to sneak in for a stealth kill. Before doing so, she passes by a wall showing that Doug was the employee of the month of July.
I didn't just get the manager promotion out of nepotism. It's they finally recognized my talent.
This is a reference to one of the vault puzzles in the game,
hilarious.
where the code for the safe is the date that the store's owner made their best boy employee of the month. Now, when they're in this office kitchen, I love the note on the fridge that reads, "If your name isn't on it, don't eat it." It's appropriate as they're venturing into a place filled with monsters who want to eat them. On the bulletin board, we see flyers for Halloween. Remember, Outbreak Day occurred in September 2003.
Oh, so they never got to see Return of the King. That's so sad.
I know, right?
My friends, you bow to no one.
And we also see a banner for a birthday party, another sad reminder that after the outbreak, the world was robbed of these simple joys. Afterwards, the floor collapses, separating Ellie from Dina, and this kind of thing happens all the time in the game, forcing people to find alternate routes so they can reunite. And, by the way, their backpack flashlights are just like the ones that you carry in the game. Now, before Ellie can show Dina the Easter egg, she falls through the floor, where she encounters her first stalker. Now, by stalker, I don't mean somebody with a problematic parasocial relationship. In the game, stalkers are infected with the very early stages, just before they fully develop their echolocation, and they still have limited vision. Stalkers aren't necessarily new in The Last of Us Part 2, but they behaved a lot differently than they did in the first game. In Part 2, they sit around corners and let out this quiet, chilling sobbing sound like we see later in this scene. You can't detect them in listening mode, so engaging with them is super tricky, especially in a situation where there's multiple infected. They lose all subtlety as soon as they attack, which can easily and quickly cause the rest of the infected to swarm you. However, in the TV series, this seems to be hinting that this change comes from the cordyceps fungus growing and adapting, as if it's evolving, which makes sense given the difference between the two series. As we saw in the first season, the fungus in the HBO series works like a neural network.
They're connected. More than you know.
After decades of expanding that network, it only makes sense that it continues to grow outward, and it may explain some of the enemy types that appear later in the game. So I love this shot of the stalker from behind, where we see the silhouette of the fungus. It is a great visual way to show the cordyceps slowly creeping toward humanity, and as we'll talk about later, toward Jackson. The stalker corners Ellie and bites her, so now Ellie has to hide her infection bite, which is yet another change from the game. That said, there is a moment in the game where Ellie has to reveal her immunity to Dina after her gas mask breaks and she breathes in spores. So since the TV series did away with the fungus being airborne, this could be how Ellie proves her immunity to Dina later in the season. For now, she's agreed to keep it a secret, although she cuts the scar so it doesn't look like a bite. Ellie and Dina give a briefing to Jackson's leadership about the encounter, during which Ellie tries to describe its unique aspects.
They did what we do to cover.
It'd be interesting if they had, like, I feel like they should. Kind of like, well, I was gonna say it'd be a little inhumane. But I guess they just have trust with each other. I was gonna say, like, the way the Fedra used to, like, check everybody. You feel me? Like, if they were to had, like, this council, if they were to have, like, security or whatever, to, like, have to check people when you came back from things, Dina would be screwed. I mean, not Dina. Ellie would be screwed, but then again, like, you know, she wanted, but as far as, like, public eye, everybody's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Plan, leaving. You're being stalked.
Tommy condemns them for going off on their own, and Ellie responds with,
And you're telling me what if you and Joel?
Yo, that's crazy, my God.
That ain't so.
"Wow."
Because it's different.
Oh, which is not only a valid point, but also tells us a lot about what's going on inside Ellie's head right now. It's clear to her that Joel can make his choices without the same consequences she would face if she did the same thing. She watches him get away with things that she never could, all due to people's expectations of him and their underestimation of her. In doing so, people are robbing her of the same choices that Joel was given. And instead, these choices are made for her. And this is mainly because he has convinced everyone, including himself, that he is a good guy, just doing things for the greater good. But Ellie sees through that and holds it against him. So, when the council condemns her for doing something Tommy and Joel would have done, the anger in her response comes from more than just the hypocrisy. She wants autonomy, and moments like this show how little of it she actually has. Joel visits Ellie after her homemade surgery and suggests that she check out the community ball. For doing so, Joel grabs Ellie's guitar and says that he's going to replace the strings. Now, in-game, they go on a mission to find some new strings, but they abandon it after being ambushed by a massive horde of infected.
So, what do you say we give up on those strings for the day?
I should also note that the guitar has a great deal of symbolism within the game. It represents love and beauty and music, the aspects of life that are worth fighting for and protecting. The second game even begins with a really tender moment where Joel plays the guitar for Ellie.
Everything I found you, and I found by myself.
Ellie decides to go to the community center in yet another scene played out in in-game flashbacks. Dina mentions that she's not drunk, but high, which at first I thought was a reference to the fact that she's pregnant, something that we know from the game. However, I'm not sure that HBO is going to be sticking with that plot point, given that she takes a swig of Jesse's drink before pulling Ellie onto the dance floor. Now, Ellie and Dina have an incredibly cute moment before being interrupted by a homophobe who
That is
tells them,
interesting.
It's family event.
as if queer people don't have families, until Joel intervenes.
I thought he was all Jackson first.
Well, look, buddy, Joel may be xenophobic, but when it comes to protecting Ellie, he always steps up, for better or worse. Now, in the games, it takes him a while to realize that Ellie is a lesbian, and when he eventually does come to understand, he is still loving and accepting. However, despite Joel's well intentions, this just stands to piss Ellie off further.
Oh, wow, he just stood up for her.
Yeah, but she could have handled herself, and in doing so, Joel took away her autonomy once again. So at this point in the games, Ellie was aware of what Joel had done in Utah. And given how fractured their relationship is in the TV series, we can assume that she already knows it here as well. So this scene is, once again, Joel thinking he's being the hero and standing up for her, when in fact, what he's doing is not allowing her to defend herself. This is yet another choice that Joel has taken away from Ellie. So as she leaves, we see a few others out partying. One person drops some sparklers next to the overgrown pipes, and we can see the cordyceps within the overgrown roots of the pipes, which could pose a huge problem for the Jackson settlement. Now, this problem is unique to the show, so anything can actually happen with this. The biggest risk is obviously an outbreak within city walls.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be a problem.
Within?
Clear out the pipes, right?
Well, Joel's instructions to Dina were,
Go fix the main line. saw out the cracked parts, pull the roots, and will fill in the gaps with some ABS bond.
which should ideally remove the cordyceps roots as well. However, this could mean that any water running through the pipes could become contaminated. But the more terrifying and likely prospect, given the changes to the TV show, is that this root system essentially gives the collective hive mind of the fungus a way to sense what is inside the walls of Jackson, which would seem like a buffet for the infected.
Looks like meat back on the menu, boys.
This could drive hordes of infected towards Jackson from miles away, all just by following these routes underground. Now, given that Abby and Joel meet after he rescues her from being attacked by a massive horde, and the final shot of the episode showing Abby arriving at Jackson, this could be what triggers their initial confrontation. Well, guys, that's all the Easter eggs that we found, but let us know if you found any down in the comments below. And what did you think of the episode? Let me know down in the comments on our free to join.
Shout out to you, brother.
We found, but let us know if you found any down in the comments below. And what did you think?
Shout out to you. Hey, man. Good episode. I feel like the episode was good. I feel like it did a lot of things well. I don't think it was an amazing episode, but I do think it was pretty good for, like, you know, setting the foundation for everything that we need. And then I would just hope and think that, like, episode 2, you feel me? Episode 2 is really gonna have that stuff. That's what I would think is gonna happen. Maybe even episode 3 right after that. You might get, this might be like I would say that if I had to grade this episode, I'd give it like an 8, like a 7.5, 8, probably an 8. And then I'd say next week is probably gonna be, I would think is gonna be like a 9, 9.5. I think. Don't know, but I think. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 so far. Looking forward to the rest of the season.